On January 2nd, 2013, the first issue in Marvel's smash hit series New Avengers landed on store shelves. Written by esteemed author Jonathan Hickman, the series quickly became one of Marvel's most celebrated titles and a cornerstone of the Marvel Now rebranding initiative, which the publisher had launched a few months earlier in October 2012. The series follows the Illuminati, a secret team of Avengers who have taken it upon themselves to run and defend our world in complete secrecy. New Avengers sees the team confronted with their most formidable challenge yet. The multiverse, that is, the set of infinite universes that make up everything in existence, has mysteriously begun imploding, sending an infinite number of worlds hurtling toward Earth. Unless stopped, this collision of worlds will result in the destruction of not only Earth, but everything in existence. The Illuminati takes it upon themselves to stop these infinite incursions, but struggle to maintain their heroic morality along the way. If the premise sounds complex to you, then you understand the type of story typical in the writing of Jonathan Hickman.
Jonathan Hickman isn't a writer for everyone. He loves creating these enormous, multifaceted stories that are really just unlike anything else in the comic book industry. Hickman's stories can easily take up to a year to be fully realized. New Avengers, for example, has been published for nearly 2 years now, and it's only just now becoming clear what Hickman's endgame for this series is. But it never feels like he's just making it up as he goes. It's pretty obvious that he has known exactly where to take this series from the very first issue. And that level of planning and careful creativity is so rare in any area of the entertainment industry, but especially in the comic book industry.
Hickman's story is so complex, it can't be contained in one single series. In addition to his work on New Avengers, Hickman is also the author of Marvel's regular Avengers series, which he has been working on since December 2012. While the two series can be understood without reading the other, Hickman's full vision for the Marvel Universe unfolds across the pages of both series.
One of the most interesting aspects of New Avengers is how closely connected it is with the regular Avengers series, which is also written by Jonathan Hickman. It's not necessary to read both series to get the whole picture, but Hickman's story is really much larger than a single series. For example, the opening pages in the first issue of Hickman's regular Avengers is not really understood until you read the third issue of New Avengers, because it's kind of a visual callback to the events of New Avengers. But you don't know that until you read this issue of New Avengers that won't be released for 4 months. So how you initially read that issue is completely changed once you read New Avengers and understand what it is Hickman is really trying to say. The two series are really pieces of this larger, enormous story that Hickman is telling about the Marvel Universe, and those two series are already pretty big on their own. So it shows how meticulously detailed and multifaceted Hickman's vision for the Marvel Universe is. No other author is working like this today, and I don't think anyone in the comic book industry has ever been this ambitious before.
Some may expect the characters to become lost in this multifaceted story, but Hickman finds a way to develop each member of the Illuminati in a way unique to his series. While the team's roster is in constant fluctuation due to the dynamic nature of the series, the core Illuminati members are Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four, Black Panther, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, the Inhuman Black Bolt, Beast, and Namor the Submariner. Each of these characters are classic heroes, but Hickman's writing suggests that their heroics are much more ambiguous than the title suggests. Hickman questions what it means to be a hero, and asks, how far should one go to save the day? Is the destruction of an entire other world justified if it means saving the Earth?
Everything is so gray in New Avengers. The very idea of the Illuminati, which is a group that essentially rules the world in secret, is really dark gray. These characters try to stop people from destroying the world, but when they decide to systematically destroy these other worlds approaching Earth, they've essentially become that very force they have fought to defeat. And you could argue that destroying these worlds is justifiable if it means saving Earth, but that's really the whole point. If mass genocide can be justified, then what else could be? Does morality even matter at that point? Watching these characters commit these horrific acts even affects how you read other books. I mean, Mr. Fantastic is a little less noble in Fantastic Four, after you watch him comply with committing mass genocide. And that's really the power of this series. It gets to the very core of these characters. It's an examination of what it means to be a hero, but it's also a deconstruction of that very idea.
The moral ambiguity of these heroes is further demonstrated in the series' lack of actual villains. While classic Marvel villains such as Doctor Doom and Thanos do make appearances, they have relatively small roles. Can you even call these characters villains after the terrible acts committed by the so-called heroes? The series turns the classic good versus evil superhero narrative on its head. The conflict of New Avengers is less about good versus evil and more about mankind versus inevitability, the inevitable here being the destruction of Earth. In short, this is some really dark stuff, and the dark nature of New Avengers is only reinforced in its artwork. While the series has struggled to keep one central artist on the title, those who have worked on New Avengers have maintained the same artistic themes. Take, for example, the dark looming shadows first drawn by the original New Avengers artist, Steve Epting. The Illuminati operates in almost complete darkness, and Epting's black, inky shadows seem to literally consume the heroes. This visual cue underscores the dark nature of the story and the hero's descent into amorality. Indeed, the stakes are as high as possible in New Avengers. While many superhero comic books are playing with huge stakes nowadays, the existence of everything is at risk in New Avengers. The stakes don't get any higher than that. And that's what makes New Avengers such a tense and compelling series. Just 27 issues in, it's clear that Jonathan Hickman is telling one of the great superhero stories of our time. New Avengers is intensely serialized, however, and those looking to get into this definitive series before its rumored 2015 ending are encouraged to pick up the 4 trade paperbacks available in stores now.
New Avengers might be the most thoughtfully produced comic book series I have ever read. A lot of people may think they know the Avengers based off of what they have seen in the movies, but that's just not true at all. New Avengers is really the antithesis of the Avengers you see in the movies. There's very little actual fighting in Hickman's series. He's more interested in telling this grandiose story of sci-fi mysticism than showing Iron Man beating the crap out of someone. And the series is really better off because of that. It's just such a deep, complex, and ambitious series. And I think it's safe to say that New Avengers will go down in history as not just one of the greatest superhero stories ever told, but quite possibly one of the best comic book series ever written.